Hello guys, in this video I'm going to teach you what is polymorphism and how we can use polymorphism in C++. But before that, I must recommend you that you must know the basic concept of inheritance in C++ and you must have some knowledge of pointers. So if you are following these videos, you can find the lesson on inheritance in the video number 32. So I will strongly recommend you that please watch and understand how inheritance work first and then watch this video, because polymorphism depends upon inheritance strongly. So I must recommend you to watch that video and then uh, see this video. Okay, so what is polymorphism? If we see the literal meaning of polymorphism, then polymorphism means having many forms. So typically polymorphism occurs when there is a hierarchy of classes and they are related by inheritance, right? So the polymorphism or the property called polymorphism we can use where we are using inheritance or classes are related by the hierarchy of inheritance. That's why I was stressing on watching the lesson on inheritance. Okay, now how we can use inheritance in C++, not inheritance but polymorphism. So I'm going to take an example from the video number 32, in which I have shown you how inheritance works. Okay. So this was the example I have used in video number 32. And what I have done in that video, I have declared a class which was a base class, and this class I named it as shape. And what my purpose of creating this class was, I wanted to calculate the area of some polygons, for example triangle or rectangle or any other polygon. Okay, and I wanted to calculate the area of those polygons using a base class, because every polygon has the property that it has height and width. Okay, and you can calculate the area of triangle, for example square, triangle or rectangle, on the basis of height and width. Okay, so I defined in that video in which I have taught you this inheritance, this class called shape, and this has a public method set values, and this has two member variables which are height and width. Okay, so if you don't remember, just watch the video on inheritance and you would know. Okay, so we have this class, and in which we have two variables, height and width, to calculate the area, and we have a member function called set values. And this member function, what it was doing, it was just setting whatever argument are passed to it to the width and height. Okay, so we have this base class. Now I have defined two derived classes which are inheriting from my shape base class. Okay, so I have defined a rectangle class which is called a derived class, and I'm inheriting from my base class which is my shape class. And what I'm doing here, I have only one member method here which calculates the area of rectangle. Okay, and how I am calculating the area of rectangle, because I am inheriting from the base class shape, the member functions, public and protected member functions, are available in this class also from the base class. That's why I will be able to use the member functions uh, just like height and width from shape in my derived class, which is a rectangle class, and I'm just multiplying this height and width to calculate the area. Okay, so this is the area of rectangle. In a similar way, I'm creating a class called triangle, and this has also one member function, which is calculating the area of triangle, and the area of triangle is height into width divided by 2, right? So I will divide it by 2, and this is because we are also inheriting from shape in this triangle class also. So the member variables and member function, public and protected member functions, are available in this triangle class also to use. Okay, so this gives the area of triangle in triangle class, and this member function area gives the area of rectangle in rectangle class. And to set the height and width, we are using this base class shape. Okay, now what I want to do is, I have already told you what is polymorphism. Polymorphism is having many forms. So what my goal is, I want to define my rectangle class and my triangle class in terms of my shape class. So what I can do, first of all, I will define the instance or object of my rectangle class, rectangle, REC, and in a same way I will define the instance of my triangle class, TRI for example. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create an instance of this base class shape. Okay, and I call it poly for example, because shape, I want to calculate the area of polygon, right? Polygon, that means rectangle or triangle. So I will name it as poly, and I will define the pointer to this object like this. If you don't know pointer, I have already shown you how to use pointers in previous videos, so you may want to uh, see those videos if you don't know about pointers. So I have defined a object which is a pointer, and which points to, this is important, which points to the address of my rectangle class. Okay, which points to the object of my rectangle class. So this is the object to the rectangle class, and when we use and, it is the address of this object. And what is a pointer? If you remember, pointer is a variable which points to the address of the another variable, and this is a rectangle variable right now. Okay, and because why we are able to do that, because there is a property in C++ that whenever you inherit from a base class to a derived class, you can define an object in terms of derived class object like this. Okay, in a similar way, I can derive a poly2. So let me name it, this is poly1 and this is poly2, and I can do the similar thing with triangle object or tri object. So what I'm doing, I'm defining a pointer which points to the address of my triangle class object, and this is really the essence of polymorphism. So what you have done, you have defined a class in terms of other class, or this poly or this shape has many forms. Once it has the rectangle form, once it has triangle forms. And what is polymorphism? Having many forms, right? I have already told you in the starting of the video. So this is solving our purpose. We can define poly object or polygon object or shape object of shape in terms of rectangle also and in terms of triangle also, right? So then what we can do simply, we can use this poly object to set the values, for example poly. And if you remember, whenever we define a pointer to the class, we use this arrow member. So this is like this, not underscore but minus and then arrow. Okay, and we can set the values, and in this values we can define any values to calculate the area. So the height, for example, is 10 and width is 20, for example. In a similar way, when I want to set the width and height of the triangle, I can set it like this, poly 2, this should be poly 2, and then I can set it the same function I can use from my shape class to set the values. Okay, now I want to calculate the area of both triangle and the rectangle. So what I can do, I can just simply call, so I will just see out std colon see out, and then I can call my triangle or rectangle object here dot, I can just call the area member function from my rectangle class. If you remember, this class has a function called area. So I can just directly call this area function because it's calculating the area dependent upon the height and width, and height and width we have already set, so it will give the area std and line. In a similar way, I can just print the area of triangle, right? I just need to use this tri and I can calculate the area of triangle. I will build my program and I will see if it has some errors or not, and if it compiles I will run it, and you can see it gives two values, 200 which is the area of rectangle, which is 10 multiplied by 20, and 100 which is the area of triangle, which is 10 multiplied by 20 by 2. Okay, so once again, in order to use polymorphism, you have to have the hierarchy of classes in terms of inheritance. Always remember that. And whenever you want to use polymorphism, the basic definition of polymorphism is to define a class or to class which can have many forms, more than one forms, and this is doing the same. Our shape uh, instance is having rectangle form in at one place, and our shape object has triangle form at another place. So you can assign or define other polygon classes, for example square or any other polygon classes, and you can even define that polygon class if you are inheriting from the shape class in terms of the other classes also, and you can calculate area or whatever you want to calculate. So this is the basics of polymorphism in C++. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.